Welcome to Part 2, focused on key hazard and product types and definitions. We will look at the difference between outlooks, watches, and warnings, and define the different storm hazards and what makes a thunderstorm officially a severe thunderstorm and what doesn't. You are presently viewing the second video in this training series, representing Part 2 of the training. First, let's compare outlooks, watches, and warnings. An outlook is a forecast of the potential for a given hazard during a 24-hour period. It essentially answers the question, where will the environment be favorable for the hazard to occur during the outlook period? The image to the right shows a 24-hour outlook for severe thunderstorms and tornadoes across the United States. Each of these outlooks is valid for a 24-hour period and typically can cover large areas. When you're under a particular outlook, such as in this case over Mississippi and Alabama with a high risk of severe weather, continue normal activities but occasionally monitor local area weather conditions and forecasts. Here is the scale of categories for severe thunderstorm outlooks that range from just general thunderstorms and minimal risk of severe weather all the way to high risk, which is generally reserved for those very rare days with widespread severe storms. Now, when conditions become favorable for hazardous weather to develop during, say, an upcoming 6-hour period, we turn to a watch. A watch essentially means just that. We're watching for the development of severe storms. This is a period where storm watchers may prepare to activate, but they don't actually start observing until warnings are issued. Watches cover large areas, can be portions of multiple states, though much smaller usually than outlook areas. Again, with watches, you continue normal activities but monitor local area weather and the potential subsequent issuance of warnings during this period. When a warning is issued, it means that hazardous weather has been observed or is indicated on radar. It's usually valid for an hour or less, although flood warnings can last longer than an hour. The warnings are valid for portions of counties near the storm's path. When a warning comes out, people in the path of the storm are urged to take protective action. This is the time when storm watchers self-activate. They prepare to observe in a safe place. It's important to have multiple ways to receive warnings. Sometimes the power goes out and you cannot just depend on getting information from the TV. You may also want to have a way to receive warnings through your mobile phone or have a NOAA weather radio. Warnings can also be an indicator of the need for storm watchers to pay attention to local weather and be ready to report what is observed as needed, assuming that they're in a safe place to do so. Here is your code word from this video, warning. Be sure to write down these words so you can enter them to get credit for training completion. Keep track of which word goes with which video. This word goes with part 2. What is a tornado? It is a rapidly rotating column of air that is attached to the thunderstorm cloud base and has its circulation down in contact with the ground, causing damage. It may or may not have a visible funnel cloud, or that funnel cloud may not extend to the ground, but look for a whirling cloud of dust or debris at the surface. Can you see that on this video? Can you see the cloud shreds around the funnel, called scud clouds, rotating around the larger cloud mass? Note that the funnel-shaped cloud is not in contact with the ground, but you can see rotating debris being lifted up from the surface, making this a tornado. Now, if the circulation is not in contact with the ground, it's labeled a funnel cloud, given its funnel-like appearance being wider at the top and narrow toward the bottom. It is connected to and extends down from the main cloud base. The circulation does not extend to the surface. Notice on this video that while you can see a rain shaft extend to the ground to the right of the funnel, there's no sign of a circulation at the surface beneath the funnel cloud. As a result, this is reported as a funnel cloud. If you're uncertain if the circulation is reaching the ground, given your viewing angle or distance from the hazard, you can't indicate this uncertainty in your observation. So what officially makes a thunderstorm severe? To be officially a severe thunderstorm, it must produce at least one of these 3 conditions. Hailstones that are at least 1 inch or quarter size in diameter. Winds that are gusting to at least 58 miles per hour, if not stronger. or is producing a tornado. Lightning, heavy rainfall, and dark, scary clouds are not criteria for a severe thunderstorm, as all thunderstorms can produce them. Wind damage is not an official criterion for severe thunderstorms either, although damage is used to estimate winds. A few tree limbs down generally reflect winds below severe criteria, while multiple trees blown down or uprooted can reflect the high winds of a severe storm. Flooding is not a hazard associated with the severity of a thunderstorm. It's a separate hazard that is still a threat to life and property. Thus, it's important to report it when observed. A flash flood is a rapid rise of water, usually during or just after a period of heavy rainfall. Floods can also be caused by dam breaks, levee failures, debris jams, or creek overflows. Typically, very shallow flooding that does not flow is called minor flooding, while major flooding tends to refer to deep floodwater that can enter residences or other structures. Deeper flooding and floodwater that flows tend to be much more dangerous than standing water on the ground or roads, but the latter still can be quite hazardous. How would you answer this true or false question? A flash flood watch means flooding is being observed, and a flash flood warning alerts that flooding is possible. Hopefully you get that this is false. It's the opposite. A watch means we're watching for flooding to occur, but it has not occurred yet. A warning means it is occurring or is imminent, and that protective action should be taken. How about this question? A thunderstorm is officially labeled as a severe thunderstorm if it produces any one of which of the following conditions. So choose all of the conditions that make a thunderstorm a severe thunderstorm. Pause the video if you need more time to consider this. The answer will display momentarily. There are 3 conditions listed that make a thunderstorm severe, and they are shown here: A, D, and E. You must have hail at least quarter size or larger in diameter, winds of 58 miles per hour or greater, or a tornado. The other conditions make a thunderstorm hazardous but are not an official severe criteria. You have completed part 2. If you had any problems correctly answering the questions in this video or are uncertain about the material from it, you are strongly encouraged to review it again. Otherwise, please take at least a short break, then move on to the next video in this series, which is part 3.